Welcome back. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan. Today we are going to be recapping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2023 NFL season and also previewing the 2024 offseason in the second half of the video. So be sure to stick around. We're going to be going over all their draft picks, key free agents, and also just their overall team needs that we feel that they need to address in the offseason. So before we get into all that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. We have 3-round and 7-round mock drafts coming out that are Tampa Bay Buccaneers specific, leading up all the way to the NFL draft. So be sure to ring the bell to get notified whenever we create those. And Ryan, let's pull up the slide here. Buccaneers ended up going 9-8, dominating the strong NFC South, as you can tell here, best division in the league. I will say
Tyler's being sarcastic for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, considering the fact that we blew over half of our games, I'm going to absolutely say. But I will say, to give full credit though to Tampa Bay, I was not too worried about you guys in the first half of the season, but after you guys beat us in Atlanta, and it was a good victory. You guys ran all over us. That was when there was that change in y'all season, and there was something that Baker Mayfield came on strong. The running game came on strong. I know that they finished last overall in team offense running wise, but it's to be honest, completely honest, they were horrible throughout the first part of the season.
They were so bad.
They were so bad, but they did pick up strong, especially in that final 6-7 games of the season here. Like if I go and look up, 113 rushing yards against Carolina. So they actually didn't really have too many good games. 100 against the Packers, 70 against the Jags, but they didn't really need to run the ball too much. Only 57 against the Saints. But even before that, though, they had good running games leading up to that, including the Falcons game as well. So on top of that as well, Baker Mayfield really came on strong, seemed to find a rhythm here. Mike Evans is quietly having like one of the easiest first ballot Hall of Fame decision like ever. It hasn't had anything less than 1,000-yard season. Just for him to actually stay healthy for all 10 years, I think he's only missed a handful of games throughout his entire career. Is extremely impressive in and of itself. So,
but he's been a 1,000-yard receiver every single year. Even there was one year he had 1,001 yard.
Well, I just love his quarterback because if I'm not mistaken, I think he went Jameis Winston, who I'll leave it at that. Then he went to Tom Brady, and then he went to now Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so, but when he came into the league, I mean, I don't even know who was throwing him the football.
Well, that's a fair point. So I'll look that up here real quick. But in general, though, he is going to be free agent. We're going to get to him there. But I think, and so is Baker. I think both those guys are coming back. There's no way either of those guys come back. And so what I'm just going to be curious, though, if I go and look at the rest of the team so far, especially statistically, Chris Godwin did have a 1,000-yard receiver season, so it's starting to see him get healthier as well. I would love to just see them continue that trend because when we saw them have success, personally, no, I don't want them to. But if you're Buccaneers fans, you need Chris Godwin to keep having this season. I'm glad to see him back to like the form that he was before his ACL tear. But they're going to need to develop some sort of running game. And that's where I'm curious in your mind. Do you think it was a Rashad White problem, or do you think it was just a young offensive line problem? How do you think they improved that?
I think it was a young offensive I think it was a young offensive line problem. They really, I think, struggled in the beginning part of the year, even just to keep Baker Mayfield upright. And I think they got a lot better as the season went on. I do still think that there's room for improvement. They were 19th in sacks allowed. They were the worst running team in the league. And then I think just kind of transitioned over to the defensive side of the ball, just being in the trenches for them as a whole. They were I got the passing and running stats mixed up, but I think they could definitely do better, especially when we get to the free agents. We'll see. There are a couple key guys that are going to be hitting the market that I don't necessarily think that they will re-sign. But to me, this secondary is really bad. Jamel Dean was kind of the only guy, and Antoine Winfield was in there as well, but he is more of a strong safety. And to me, I think Jamel Dean was the only guy that is playing high-level football. Everything else on the back end of that defense was not good. And also, too, I think pass rush is going to be something that they're going to have to look at heavily going forward. So they did have 48 sacks on the season, but I do think part of that was due to just overall competition. So,
I will say, and to kind of back up your point, though, that front seven actually isn't horrible. I mean, with Vita Vea leading the way, Clyde Cansey came on strong, and he had a big game against the Lions in the playoffs. But then KJ Britt, Levante David, Devin White also, then also two, and then still Shaq Barrett, all guys that you mentioned. That's a solid front seven. That's going to give some offensive line some fits. But then you're right, though, too. In the secondary, though, that front seven isn't elite enough to overcome the weaknesses of the secondary. So, some areas to clearly improve on. But in general, though, I definitely think that the Buccaneers overperformed. I will say before we move on to the offseason preview, Josh McCown was Mike Evans' rookie quarterback. Then they drafted James Winston in 2015. Also, Mike Glennon was there as well.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick was another guy that threw him touchdown passes while
he was there.
Yeah, while he was there.
What year was that? Was that
remember when him and Jameis Winston were going back and forth?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, it was 2017. Yeah. Okay.
So let's get into the offseason recap here. Or offseason preview. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have almost $50 million in cap space, definitely in the top 10 in overall cap space this year. They do have some pretty big contracts that will be put on the books, though. You got to think Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones got $45 million last year. You got to think Baker Mayfield is probably going to be in a similar category there. Yeah. Mike Evans, Devin White, Levante David, some veteran guys there that they're going to want to try to re-sign. I do think Levante David and Shaq Barrett might be guys that will not be with the team next year just due to age, the amount of money that they're going to get. I don't know. Shaq Barrett might be a cap casualty, but it'll just again have to play by ear and kind of figure out what they're going to want to do moving forward. But Levante David being a free agent, I'm be interested to see what they decide to do with him there. Antoine Winfield, the star safety for them, is also a free agent, and they're going to want to bring him back. He's one of the top safeties in the league. And then Greg Gaines, one of the defensive tackles that they rotate in there, is also a free agent as well. Again, probably not somebody that I really foresee them re-signing, but again, just a loss up front. So I do think I should have put edge defender there, but another wide receiver. Mike Evans is getting older. Chris Godwin has had some injuries. They did invest some later round picks into a guy like Trey Palmer. Cade Otton is a good tight end for them. But again, I think especially in this league, if you're going to sign a guy like Baker Mayfield, you need to keep fresh wide receiver talent. Always going through this offensive line. While it did improve, I think they could definitely add to it and get it better. And then the secondary was probably the worst part of this team, and just continuing to improve there as well. And then, as I said, edge rusher, getting another guy to get pressure on the quarterback would be nice, and it also help cover up for the secondary.
Yeah, I will say too, looking at the free agent needs like Devin White and Levante David, I will say they've seemed like they hit on Yaya Diaby. As they're starting. And so I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys doesn't come back. Now, of course, those guys, according to the depth chart, are both inside linebackers, while Yaya Diaby is kind of that outside linebacker, edge rusher combo. But I could see them moving on from one, and potentially they could use one of those other picks to go and get like a day 2 or maybe even early day 3 linebacker to go and see that. I agree with you with the receiver because I think if you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, then if Trey Palmer pans out and dude's super quick, but behind them they don't really have much of anything outside of that. So having that depth, and this would be a good draft if you wanted to take a shot on a guy in that 26th pick. Potentially there could be some good guys. But actually, though, as I say that, I don't really like that because I think there's going to be guys at 89 and 124 that could have an impact. This is such a deep receiving class in this one. So very unique, I think, on where they can go. I think we'll have to see where the guys of like Terry Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins, see where they fall. But I think that in a 26th pick, if they're dead set on secondary, guy like Enos Rakestraw, Quinion Mitchell, maybe Cameron Kitchens also as well from Miami, that's kind of a spot for him there. I think they definitely need to address team needs, but I also think, though, there's still some talent enough to where they could probably just go best player available. Like if they really like an offensive lineman there, to your point, be like, hey, we'll go get secondary later. There's still some good secondary guys later on. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers navigate. They've improved a lot. Todd Bowles did a good job getting this team together. Baker Mayfield played well in the second half of the season. But yeah, I'd say the second half of the season. The first half of the season didn't play as great, but also to defend him whenever you see these quarterbacks or offenses, like they have these big changes, like a new coordinator comes in and you have to learn a whole new system. It does take time. It does take time to get developed.
That was going to be my thing. That was really like his fourth system running within like a calendar year, or because he was running the Brown system, went to the Panthers, then from the Panthers to the Rams, and then from the Rams to the Buccaneers, and it really was just kind of this. Like it took him, I think, a minute to get adjusted. Also, I think as much as it takes him to get adjusted to the offense, it takes the receivers and the offensive line to get adjusted to him and whatnot. And I mean, he earned himself every penny he's going to get this offseason. And I think anybody and everybody in the Bucs front office that does not re-sign Baker Mayfield should be fired. I mean, that would be.
We will gladly take him in Atlanta. So if you guys don't want him, we will have your sloppy seconds, please.
Yeah.
It's funny too. Then just thinking about with Baker, just like my last comment, and a lot of our family are Browns fans. They live up in Ohio, and just always thought just the way that ended just did them dirty. Like he won them their first playoff game, and in a long time, especially then
25 years,
something like that. And dude gets hurt, plays with a torn labrum, and season doesn't pan out. Then they just ditch him, for Deshaun Watson, who didn't even play the first year that they got him, and now they spent $250 million. So I don't know. It is good to see him have success, just because I think he definitely got the short end of the stick of the phrase it's a business. It's like NFL, it's a business. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then even in Carolina, I don't think he really got a fair shake. That team's just not good.
They suck.
and they were just not good. And so, and also Matt Rule got fired like halfway through the season. Anyways, it was just a mess. And I'm happy for Baker down there in Tampa. I think that's been a good spot for him. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Buccaneers 2023 season, and also let us know what you want to see them do going forward into the 2024 offseason. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.